What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing part 1 of the Forever Forward Great League Battle of Spice, featuring 12 of the spiciest teams you will ever see winning in the Go Battle League. There will also be a second part coming within the next few days, but I can't guarantee that it will be tomorrow since these videos do take quite a while to put together, and it is my birthday weekend, so I'm going to be a little bit busier than usual. But expect to see some more absolute insanity just like this coming very soon. Now, I want to mention at the start of this video, just to clear things up a little bit, that in the submission form I specifically asked people to submit their battles whilst playing on the old code. However, shortly after announcing the Battle of Spice, the new code was pushed as the default, and so there are actually quite a few submissions that are playing on the new code. Now, it doesn't really make a huge difference. The only reason I requested this was so that we weren't constantly switching between the new and the old code every other battle, because it might be a little jarring to watch, but oh well, there's not really much we can do about it. Now anyways, before we get into the question of the day, I have quite a few shout outs to give for the support on my recent birthday live stream, so thank you to Stoic, The Best Par Jam, Cornflake, Hoflation, Catby Queen, and C Grimmer89 for the donations and gifted memberships on that live stream. As always, the support is very much appreciated. We've also had quite a few new live stream themes requested, including using top meta Pokemon, so that's going to be interesting to see how that turns out. That's certainly not something that I would usually do on the channel, but it was quite a large donation, so I kind of have to fulfill that request. So anyways, thank you for the support, and with that being said, let's get into the question of the day. What is the lowest ranked Pokemon on PvPoke that you've ever tried to use in the Go Battle League? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the Battle of Spice now. Let's go into the first battle, kicking things off with a bang. We've got a triple level 50 Snake team in the Open Great League. We lead with our Dratini. Not a great matchup for us, so we safe swap into Silicobra. The opponent gonna swap out, catching an Earth Power onto Shadow Kingdra, where it actually deals quite a lot of damage. We are gonna shield respect the damage here. The opponent gonna go for an Octazooka. Do you know you now have access to Surf Trainer? Maybe they just don't have many charge TMs at all. Either way, we're gonna fire off the Wrap. Wrap gonna go for a debuff. We're gonna bank the energy, snipe with the Dragon Rev damage from our Dratini. Really nice play there as they come back in with the Registeel. Of course, not a great matchup for us. However, we do still have a lot of energy on the Silicobra. So at this point, we've chipped with the Alcatel. We're gonna no shield. Focus Blast comfortably gets the KO there, but we can come back in with the Silicobra, look to overfarm just a little bit, and then fire off an Earth Power. Earth Power gonna get the KO there. Of course, both charge moves from Silicobra did get buffed this season, which is a really nice buff. We're gonna fire off the Wrap into the Shadow Primate as it is the final Pokemon, which means we are going to permanently debuff their defense. They're going to go straight for a Rage Fist. Rage Fist is going to boost up their attack stat, but we are resisting the Karate Chop damage. We're going to safely use our final shield. We could go for a Wrap here. Wrap probably gets the knockout, but you know what? We might as well full send the Sludge Bomb. Ekans taking out the Shadow Primate, and we're able to take that game. Into the next battle, I'm going to see Shadow Scolipede into Diggersby. So this is going to be a bit of an awkward matchup here. Fire Punch is going to hit for super effective. However, so is Alcatel. And Alcatel, you can see, won't quite two-shot them, does about 40% of their HP. We're going to no shield. Fire Punch does a lot more damage to us. However, we will outpace them to the next charge move. So we're going to go straight for Alcatel number 2, dealing big damage. We're then going to look to try and swap and make a catch there, trying to catch a Fire Punch where it's resisted. However, unfortunately, the opponent holds onto the energy, full sends the Scorching Sands, before coming in with a Shadow Altaria. Now we can spam out Rock Blast. Rock Blast, not the best move, but it will actually comfortably two-shot a Shadow Altaria, so we fire off the second one straight away. The opponent actually just going to fully sacrifice that Pokemon, and now they come in with a Jump Bluff, but we can force a CMP tie with the potential Energy Ball. Rock Blast, gotta be no-shielded, and actually, that's probably game over now. Of course, we can no-shield, Energy Ball gonna get the knockout. We can come in with the Shadow Rampardos, dealing huge damage. Rampardos, of course, got nerfed a couple seasons ago with Smackdown, but Rampardos doesn't believe in any fast move damage nerfs here. Smackdown able to farm down the remainder of their team. The opponent goes down with 2 shields still in play, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, awful core breaker for our team as we lead into a Unnovan Stumpfisk. We're going to swap out into Graplocked and unfortunately met with a Giraffe Rig, but Superpower able to grab a shield advantage. Not only that, Duraludon is going to completely wall the energy here. We're going to no shield. They actually go for a double resisted non-stab Trailblaze, which is quite surprising here because they probably have access to Psychic Fangs, and they do throw the Psychic Fangs this time around. Either way, we're going to go for a full Dragon Tail farm down, and we actually come out with quite a lot of energy. Of course, we did get buff this season with Flash Cannon that is resisted into Unova and Stunfisk, so we are just going to go for back-to-back Dragon Claws. First one did big damage, the second one actually gets the knockout, and their final Pokemon is going to be a Walrein. We're going to come in with Hisuian Typhlosion. We're on Hex rather than Ember. Nightshade going to deal decent damage here. However, unfortunately, we will still need to throw a second charge move. Now, are they full sending? We call the bait, and it is just a bait there with an Icicle Spear, which means we can now settle for Fire Punches. Fire Punch number one grabs the final shield, and we can reach a second Fire Punch before the opponent able to farm to back-to-back charge moves or go for a full farm down, which means we take out the Walrein and we take that game. Is the next battle going to see a level 50 Poplio in the lead here up against a Fearow, and honestly probably pretty good to see it here. Now I have no idea what this Pokemon's stats are. I don't know if we'd live a Drill Peck or not, so we're just going to play this safe and then go for an Arc Jet. So we shield up the first charge move. Arc Jet is going to be shielded back by the Fearow, and at this point we are going to see the opponent is going to throw just before we reach the next charge move, so pretty good timing there. Quite surprising to no Poplio counts, but either way we are going to go for an Arc Tail this time around as they are fairly low, and hopefully the opponent isn't going to commit to a full farm down, and yes, they are going to throw a charge move. Hopefully they're throwing straight away, which means we should be able to come in with our shiny Shadow Reshiram, what a flex by the way, and fully Dragon Breath farm them down. They're going to come in with a Dunsparce. Now we're not on Draco Meteor, so we're going to go for Fusion Flare. Fusion Flare still does huge damage, and we can also swap out and look to catch a charge move here. This should just be a Drill Run, which is neutral damage, rather than the Rock Slide, which would of course probably one-shot us, as it would hit for double super effective. The opponent reaches the Rage Fist. Rage Fist doesn't quite KO, which is probably slightly worse for us as they do get more energy. However, Reshiram able to reach another Fusion Flare, taking out the Primeape, and can we Dragon Breath down? It's super close, but yes, just barely able to do so, and we're able to take that game. Into the next battle, we're going to see a level 50 Yanma in the lead up against Fearow. We're going to be safe swapping into our Amora, and the opponent is going to come in with a Seismitoad. Now, honestly, this is not that bad of a matchup because we do have the energy advantage. We're able to connect with the Weather Ball before they can potentially debuff us with an Icy Wind. We're going to look to shield, and they do full send the Earth Power. That's really nice for us. We're going to farm up to back-to-back charge moves. This is a CMP tie. However, this is just going to be an Icy Wind, so we're going to no-shield that, as it is, of course, going to hit for resisted damage there. We can now go for the Weather Ball, go for the full farm down, and we are debuffed here, but they're going to come in with a second Mud Boy. This time around, it is going to be a Quagsire. So at this point, we fire off the Weather Ball. Weather Ball is going to be a CMP tie, and at this point, of course, we're going to go down. However, the opponent undercharges, looking to farm us down there, but not realizing we already had back-to-back charge moves, so that kind of backfires for them, as now we can come in with the Yanma, and we're going to swap out looking to catch a Stone Edge. This is going to hit for pretty decent damage there. Apom able to tank it, however, and now they come back in with the Fearow. Unfortunately, we don't really have much to hit for this Fearow, so we're actually just going to no-shield, come back in with the Yanma, and we are going to look to throw on CMP, and we're going for the Ancient Power. Ancient Power, gonna connect, it gets the KO there. That is huge for us. Maybe the opponent just not expecting that to get the knockout, and as a result, we can now just spam out these Silver Winds. Silver Wind, of course, did get a pretty decent buff this season. Not many Pokemon can really benefit from it. However, Yanma is one of those Pokemon. We can reach a second Silver Wind. I mean, the damage bonus isn't really necessary for this matchup, as we get the KO from that range anyways, but we're able to take out the Quagsire and take that game. Into the next battle, I see Maractus into Jumpluff. Not a great lead matchup for us. We're going to be swapping out into our attack from Deoxys. The opponent going to come in with a Licky Licky. We don't throw it on the best timing there, but Psycho Boost is going to grab a shield advantage, but we're not able to reach another charge move there. That is really unfortunate for us. Even up against non-stat rollouts from a bulky Pokemon like Licky Licky, we're not able to tank them and reach a second charge move. That is quite embarrassing there from the Deoxys, but we can come back in with the Maractus, and we're going straight for Petal Blizzard. Petal Blizzard is going to connect, unfortunately just barely not getting the KO, but that does give us more farm, which is quite nice for us. We're actually going to choose to stay in here, basically just force the opponent to throw some energy. Now from this range, Energy Ball resisted damage actually gets the knockout there, but the opponent has zero fast food pressure as they're running a lock-on Gigalith, and they throw on alignment up against an Incinerate user. That is literally worst case scenario for them, because now we farm up to 100 energy. Mind Blown grabs the final shield there. We can go for a second Mind Blown straight away. This will get the KO there, even though it's resisted damage, and then one more Incinerate. We're already at a third Mind Blown, and this, super effective, easily takes out the Jumpluff, and we're able to take that game. Alright, so heading into the next battle, we've got a triple ball theme team here. Also mentioned that this is sort of a World Cup theme team with the Jigglypuff singing the national anthems at the start of the game. And then also you got the Galarian Darumaka in the back, which is going to be sort of the crowd cheering on the team. Either way, we are going to see a Hisuian Electrode here. Not the best matchup for our Jigglypuff. I mean, there aren't really many Pokemon that Jigglypuff is going to have a good matchup into. However, we do force the opponent not to commit to the full farm down and also using a shield there. So I guess not the worst case scenario. We're going to come in with the Darumaka. The opponent is going to bank some energy, but they swap into Altaria. That is not a very smart swap from the opponent. We're going to go for Ice Punch. I can see they're also on Peck rather than Dragon Breath. It doesn't make a huge difference actually, but either way, we're gonna look to shield here as they fire for the Sky Attack, commit to the full farm down, and let's see, the opponent comes back in with the Baxcalibur, but we're already at another Ice Punch. So Ice Punch number 2 gets the KO there. The opponent comes back in with the Electrode. What do they throw? They just settle for the Swift. That's not enough damage, which means we can swap out into our Hisuian Voltorb, go for a Swift of our own. Swift will eventually connect here, and likely it will get the knockout up against its dad, and we're able to take that game. So heading into the next battle, we've got a triple Shiny Shadow theme team here with some very interesting Shiny Shadows. We are going to lead with Persian, which is not a very good Pokemon here, but we're going to go straight for a Foul Play. Foul Play is going to connect. It really does not do much damage there as all of our moves are going to be non-stab. We're going to no-shield this, and Stone Edge actually not going to get the knockout there. We can tank it relatively comfortably and reach another Foul Play. However, unfortunately, if the opponent really wants to, they can probably commit to a full Poison Sting farm down, and unfortunately, they come out with quite a lot of energy. Now, presumably, we're on Ember on our Shiny Shadow Lampent, which means it's going to be a bit of a tricky full fast move farm down here, and unfortunately, the opponent is going to reach 2 more Stone Edges, grabbing both our shields. So, of course, all shields are down on our end, but we do have Energy Ball. They come in with a Lapras. Do they know? Energy Ball is unfortunately shielded by the opponent. We're going to look to stay in here, then swapping out, looking to catch the charge move. Really nice play, catching onto our Shiny Shadow Electrode. That is a really cool Shiny Shadow, by the way. They're going to come in with Lucario, and we're going straight for Discharge. Discharge, not shielded, does big damage, puts them into Ember farm down range, but they will reach the charge move. However, this is a double resisted Aura Sphere, doesn't deal too much damage there, and we're able to reach back-to-back charge moves. This is great for us. We can go for Energy Ball number 1, grabbing the final shield. Is this enough damage here? It's super effective, it's non-stab, but it takes out the Lapras, and we're able to take that game. Into the next battle, we've got a triple level 50 team here. Unfortunately, really bad lead matchup for us and a bit of a core breaker to the team. However, the opponent really not sure what to do up against our Smoochum Say Swap, so the opponent is going to choose to stay in and actually fire for the charge move there. But of course, they did not throw straight away, which means we are even on energy, and they actually had a really strong answer anyways in the form of a Dust Noir, but Side Shock does big damage. At this point, we can come in with the Ghastly, go for the Astonish farm down, taking huge damage in the process, but we're actually able to reach a last second Nightshade. Now, personally, I'm not sure why we didn't swap out into Bulbasaur, but we grabbed the final shield, and that puts us in a really good position. We have to no shield here as they do have energy on the Fearow, but the opponent, they go for a Mud Bomb. We're able to reach a Seed Bomb here up against the Fearow coming back in. Seed Bomb gets the knockout, and at this point, we've got enough HP to reach another Seed Bomb before they can fully Mud Shot farm us down. And of course, double super effective. Bulbasaur takes out the Shadow Quagsire, and we're able to take that game. We're going straight into the next battle here. We've got a sort of rock band theme team here with the drummer in the form of Rillaboom on Razor Leaf. We then got our what's this called? Rockstar Pikachu outfit, which is really cool. By the way, Meteor Mash, of course, legacy move on this Pokemon, did get buffed fairly recently. It's actually pretty good here, as you're about to find out. Of course, they do shield the first charge move. They've also debuffed our attack stat, so this won't quite get the one-shot. But honestly, I'm quite surprised at just how much damage that did there up against a Credilli, which is already a pretty bulky Pokemon. That is non-stab Meteor Mash, by the way. We are going to go down, but we put them into perfect farm down range for the Toxtricity, which is sort of an air guitarist. We're going for a full acid farm down, and we do come out with decent energy. They come back in with the Swampert, we snipe them with the Razor Leaf damage, and we're actually also able to reach a last second charge move here. We go for the Drum Beating, which is going to drop their defense, drop their attack stat, which will be quite nice for us because, of course, Toxtricity, not the bulkiest Pokemon ever. We go go for the discharge. Discharge grabs the final shield. At this point, we probably should be shielding anyways as they go for a flame charge, but we're just 2 away from a wild charge of our own. And of course, wild charge, super effective, takes out the Talonflame, and we're able to take that game. Into the next battle, we're going to lead Volibear into a Shadow Pidgeot. Now, this is sort of a old school Little Cup theme team here with some Pokemon that used to be pretty good in the Little Cup back when that was around. We've also got a 500 CP Bronzor, which is level 50. I don't believe it's like a hundo or anything like that. It's kind of stats are maximized for the Little Cup. However, you're going to see, you know, when you usually have Pokemon that are like 500 CP in the Great League, if they're in a Battle of Spice, they're not really going to do anything. However, we're going to come in with the Bronzor, and we're actually just going to tank a Brave Bird to the face. This is, of course, resisted damage, and we're able to tank it pretty comfortably. This won't be a Brave Bird, so we're going to no shield again. This time around, they go for Twister, and we're able to tank that. But because they're debuffed, this Psyshock actually does respectable damage, doesn't quite KO, but we snipe them with the Grimer. The opponent's going to come in with a Wigglytuff, so they must be core broken by the Grimer in the bat. You see, several times we tried to click on the charge move. Finally, it goes through. Sludge Bomb gets the knockout, and their final Pokemon is going to be a Rangaroo, so it makes sense as to why they didn't swap out there. Again, trying to click on the charge move, this is really frustrating, at least in my experience, on the new code here. We should resist all the charge moves, however, we might as well shield anyways. We shield that up, we're then going to look to swap out, make a catch onto our Bronzor, but you know what? We're not actually going to use a shield here and then go for a simultaneous KO with the confusion damage, taking out the Oranguru and taking that game. Now into the final battle of this video, leading into buffed Aromatisse this season, as of course, this Pokemon did gain access to Fairy Wind as the fast move. This Pokemon does also, I believe, have access to Thunderbolt, or maybe Thunder. You have to let me know in the comments which one it is. So the opponent does actually end up shielding that first charge move. We've got 2 grass types in the back, so I am quite surprised that we are full sending a Moonblast here. But I guess with that damage, we can now come in with the Carnivine, commit 0 shields, and then go for a full Vine Whip farm down. So Rock Slide, gonna connect there. It does decent damage. Carnivine is a bit of a glass cannon, but now we have energy. We can go for a Crunch here into the Pidgeot coming back in. So Crunch is going to be no shielded. It drops their defense, but we don't quite reach another Crunch. That is quite unfortunate for us, but we're going to come in with the Execute here as our confusion damage is going to add up. We might as well use a shield here. The opponent goes for a Twister bait, but that's okay. We come in, we try to snipe them, but their final Pokemon is going to be a Kingdra, and that is absolutely great for us. We full send the Moonblast. We probably could have baited there, but we can still reach a Psyshock before they fully farm us down. Psyshock gonna deal decent damage here, and that might actually put them into range where we can just commit to a confusion farm down. Now the opponent's probably on Swift and Surf, which means Surf is resisted. They have to settle for the non-stab Swift, but Execute actually a fairly bulky Pokemon despite barely reaching 1300 CP. We get the full farm down. The opponent just concedes the match. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. Now if you want to take your support to the next level, you can become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments of every video. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has become a channel member already. Your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.